Greetings once again from the corner on the deck. This time we're at the other corner on the deck. The sun in Arkansas, the angle has changed, and every time I try to get a good sun light up of the front of the radio in my traditional corner, it's not happening. As a matter of fact, it turns very dark. So I decided to flip it around the other way so you could get a better look at our next radio that we're going to talk about. This is a Philco 37610. It's a code 121. There was a 121 and I believe it's a 122. Yeah, this is a 121. And it's a 5-tube radio. It has 3 tuning ranges, or I used to say band a lot, 3 bands, but actually they're just tuning ranges. You've got your standard broadcast band, of course. And the second range is from 2.3 to 7.4 megacycles, which is shortwave. And the last range is 7.35 megacycles up to 22 megacycles, which again is shortwave. And you attain the different ranges by using this bottom switch here. It goes to 1, which would be the center range, the 2.3 to 7.4, and then you would flip it one more time all the way up for the 7.35 to 22. Now, as you do that, there's a vertical light that jumps up from one scale to the next. So the bottom light would be the broadcast, and then of course your center scale, and then your upper scale, which would be the high end of your megacycle shortwave range. As I said, it's a 5-tube radio, and this thing, when it was made, had what was called a faux finish, F-A-U-X. Never heard of a faux finish a few years ago. Another term that's used is a photo finish. But what it turns out to be is nothing more than a decal. It was a decal that Philco and several other manufacturers made back in the 30s. They made it to look like wood, and they would design it. I don't know who they had design these things, some kind of draftsman, I guess, or they would take a photograph of wood and then color it and somehow put it on a decal. I'm still not sure how they did it. And then as the cabinets would be built, they would stick this decal on the front so it looked like you had wood. The problem was they were thin. They were very, very thin decals, and if you, in particular at Philco, from what I understand, if you bumped it or just banged it up against something, part of the decal would actually scratch away and come off, and you'd be down to the bare wood underneath. And the bare wood was white, like a white pine. It looked terrible. Well, over the years, people would sit on top, and then they would scratch here. It just looked terrible. The whole front. So what they did was, folks got tired of looking at it, so what they did was they would paint this thing. They would paint it red and white and blue or whatever color they happened to come up with, just to make the radio look a little better than it did with all that faux finish scratched off. Well, guess what? This radio was, in fact, also painted. It was painted a mustard color. It was a terrible looking thing. I mean, they even painted the knobs. They painted the dial bezel. Everything on this radio was painted mustard color, and so much paint was put on the top that it ran down the sides and drips along the back. It was just horrible looking. So what I decided to do was restore this on the Antique Radio Forum and show folks how I was going to do it. And they were all for it. You know, hey, it's great. You know, let's do it. The electronic portion, piece of cake. It looked like hardly anybody had ever been in there. I just replaced the caps, a couple of resistors, and man, we were good to go. Cleaned the chassis up. The chassis was really nasty and dusty, but cleaning chassis is just par for the course for vintage radio repair. And anyway, the primary problem was the cabinet. So I stripped all that mustard color off, which was no easy chore. I don't know what it was. It was Superman paint. It was difficult to get off. I couldn't believe I had to go to a chemical stripper to get this stuff off, and I had to work at it and work at it and work at it. Normally, lacquer thinner takes it right off, or lacquer thinner mixed with acetone. And rubber gloves, of course, outside where you can breathe, takes it right off. But it didn't do anything for this super mustard colored paint. So I had to resort to a chemical stripper that said it would remove epoxy paint. I said, well, if it'll take off epoxy, it'll take off this. It did. It took a while. when I got done, I told everybody on the Antique Radio Forum that was watching me do this. I take pictures and step-by-step process. I told them I was going to. They kept asking me, how are you going to redo the Fox finish? I've got a radio like that, and it's been sitting on my shelf for years because I don't know how to redo the Fox finish. And I said, I don't know. I think what I'm probably just going to do is put some new veneer on the front and stain it and just go with it like that. I can't recreate the Fox finish that was on here originally. I don't think I have the ability to do that. Well, there was a noticeable deafening silence on the Antique Radio Forum over that statement from me putting veneer on and just staining it and putting a finish on it. They did not like that idea. I picked up on that instantly. And so anyway, I sat around for a couple of days and I thought about this. And I said, well, maybe I can recreate it. I don't know, maybe it'll turn out okay. Well, I worked at it. I just used logic and common sense. And when I got done, I had a Fox finish on this thing that looked just like the original, with the exception of the wood grain pattern. There's no way I could reproduce it, faithfully. So I put a little wood grain. This is what you're looking at was painted on, and these little gold stripes and the black lines and this fake wood, fake wood here, fake wood in the middle, and it just looks. I put some clear lacquer spray over the top of it. I think put about 3 or 4 coats around up this one, and it looks great. I said, I can't believe it. It's just amazing that I did that. And first time, tell you what, I don't want to do another one. Once is enough. I'm ready to move on to another radio. But let's listen to it a little bit. This is what you can do, I guess, if you get lucky. I shined up to this, and cleaned everything up. And the backside looks pretty nice, too. The backside is, let me let you see the backside. It's shined up really nice. The thing I like about this particular radio is it's got the rectifier tube sitting on top of the transformer. I think that's neat, That's a neat idea. The problem is that it caused a lot of heat or something. I read somewhere on the internet. So they had to move it off of there and put it down here later on. But I always wanted one of these to work on one of these with the rectifier on top of the transformer. I just thought it was neat. Wade, a friend of mine who this radio is going to be given to, by the way, he chromed up the tube shields. So let's see if we can get a little noise. This thing has a coarse and a fine adjust. The large knob is a coarse, and the small one is the fine.
Direct connection. Great music with a great message. The latest release from Francesca.
Now that's the broadcast band. Let's see. We won't get anything on the middle range. We'll have to go to the maximum range to get some shortwave. There goes another motorcycle. Not a whole lot on shortwave, as you can see today. At night, I pick up all kinds of stations. It's got a tone control on it too.
Que se prolongará durante 153 días. Es el período de la ira de Dios, durante el cual padecerán un tiempo horrible.
It sounds pretty good. A lot of people downgrade these Philcos, but I think they're a nice sound radio if you restore them properly. And from the corner on the deck, I don't know what we're going to cover next time, but until then, this is John.